Hello and welcome to Leveled Up Design. In this video series, I want to highlight moments and levels that teach the player how to play the game. As soon as the player gains control over Simon Belmont, they are more than likely going to start pressing buttons. In the case of the classic Nintendo, there's only two buttons to press. One button makes Simon jump, and the other button makes him swing his whip. By no mere coincidence, there's a torch at the very start next to Simon. If the player tests out his whip attack, it will destroy the torch and be presented with an item. Right there, the game has taught the player that torches aren't just part of the background. Torches are a source for items. Here, the player is presented with a choice. Go up the stairs, or continue moving forward. The player hasn't yet seen this enemy type before, and doesn't know how it will act when approached. This creates player agency. It is up to the player to decide whether the risk of facing the new enemy is worth it or not. Well, that cat wasn't much of a threat, but my point still stands. The player comes across a dead end, with only a staircase allowing them to progress. However, the wall doesn't just end. There's a small gap before the wall that suggests the player can also go down. When the player attempts to go down, they will discover that there isn't enough space to reach the lowest platform. This is where the player will start pressing buttons. The player has now learned that they can use the whip to break certain parts of the level, and that doing so can lead to rewards. This will be very useful throughout the game, because many of the walls in Castlevania contain an item that heals the player. Having as much health as possible is always a good idea when combating the undead. If somehow the player misses block breaking in level 1, the designers give us another chance to learn about it in level 2. As the player enters the second screen, an enemy spawns in the air and falls down. This very easily catches the player's eye. It's quite obvious we can't attack this enemy from the right side, so the player is drawn to a lower platform on the left side. As the player attempts to attack the enemy that caught our attention earlier, the brick on the other side is broken, revealing an item inside. Once again teaching the player that not every wall is as it appears. Not much later, the player is introduced to the Medusa heads. Compared to the other enemies the players encountered before, the Medusa's movement pattern is pretty tricky, but in this room, they don't really pose any real threat, as they only deal minor damage. Just up these stairs, the player reaches their first real challenge. The Medusa heads are a much bigger threat when combined with pitfalls. Then, they become instant killers. Lastly, I'd like to point out how Castlevania introduces the Dragon Skulls in level 2. Due to the elevation, the first Dragon Skulls are not able to harm Simon. Their fireballs can only pass over the vampire hunter's head harmlessly. The player is able to witness the attack, and thus has a good understanding of what to look out for. That concludes my level design analysis of the first two levels of Castlevania. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment in the sections below. Let me know if there's a game you'd like me to examine for my next video.